I'm Corbitt with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 24th, brought to you in part by ProBac by VITALIX. ProBac vaccines provide the most complete protection against common BRD causing bacteria. Other killed vaccines don't even come close. For more information, go to bimetabiologicals.com. Incentivizing revitalization. That's a mouthful. That was included in Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins' statements she made earlier in the week following comments about how the New World screwworm situation has worsened, and made no comments about when and if the border for Mexico to cross cattle is going to open. So we kind of took that as it's going to be a while. That's the way she made it sound. But incentivizing the revitalization of our beef cow herd, and talking about how she has a lot of plans and going to be making a lot of statements about ways to do that. It made a lot of us think that she is going to be giving subsidized payments for keeping heifers back. There's been a lot of swirl about that. I mean, I don't know, we've seen it all over social media and places, saying that they've even heard the FSA people talk about it, but there's been no confirmation of that. So maybe maybe that's just what we're thinking. There's plenty of ways that she can incentivize the revitalization of the beef cow herd through her power there at the government. She can make funds available for capital for young producers there. It's almost impossible for them to get into the cattle business, and the loans through the government there, they help now, but they're not big enough to do anybody any good. It just takes way more money now. They could open more public lands to grazing. They're just a hot spot for fires anyway, so let's open up more public lands for grazing, and you could make more CRP ground available for grazing also. Those things would help incentivize the revitalization of the beef cow herd, but this market is incentivizing enough. Don't get in a big hurry here. Just give some of these cow-calf producers a little bit of time to heal up. I mean, they've been gone. They go through so many years of just barely breaking even, or just making their interest payments only, not getting any money for themselves, for their family, to buy some new equipment, to fix up the equipment they've got, let alone add on or do anything like that. Give them a year or two here of making some money, catching their breath, getting their head above water then, and then they will keep some heifers back, and it'll be more than enough to get our cow herd back going again, guys. But we just, you gotta let them guys live a little bit. And the packers have just slashed the slaughter so much. We don't really need that many cattle. You see how we got about the same amount of cattle on feed as we did last month. It was 99% for September the 1st. So it's not like we're lacking cattle. And everybody goes on and on about the supply that's been down driving this market. But really it's been the demand that's done it. And people don't believe that. With their heavier carcasses, up until just this here recently, we've been producing as much beef as ever. We're making bigger carcasses. We're producing more beef per animal. So we haven't seen a big reduction in the amount of cattle and the amount of beef on the market. Now this calendar year, we are getting into that. We are getting into smaller head counts, and it's enough to make a difference on our beef production. But it's mostly just because the packers have absolutely slashed the slaughter. I'm not sure how long they can do this. It's not good for them long term. They call it a death spiral, and they're in it right now. They may be cocky because some fat cattle, market ready fat cattle, are getting backed up in the northern plains, and they're starting to get some leverage back in the trade. but their fixed costs per head are through the roof. And they can't keep doing that. They've got to run those plants at a more efficient level to get those costs down per head, so their price per unit of beef is lower, and they can make some money on that stuff. But right now, they may be acting like they're ahead of the game, but they're not, continuing to slack off. And I think it's just going to be a matter of time before we see a major packer or two close some major beef plants. And that's whenever we'll see a big correction on the board and likely in the market. But it's bound to happen, guys. They've still had all these plants that they've had open, and they're just trickling those cattle through there. So we can look for that coming up before too awful long. I want to tell you about Brangus, guys. Brangus genetics are kind of making a comeback here. Raising cattle isn't easy, but getting the right genetics makes the difference. Brangus cows are built to last. Brangus bulls are built for business. You don't need high maintenance. You just need cattle that'll go to work. For more information, go to gobrangus.com. Also, I want to tell you about your opportunity to buy a little slice of heaven near Verndale, Minnesota. I tell you what, a beautiful place up there for sale. There's 240 acres there, and the potential is unlimited. Whatever you would like to do, a place for you to retire or a place for you to get started, whatever you want to do. It's productive ranch property there. They've got a nice home there, and it's kind of a home where you could downsize as you're getting older or just getting started, whatever you want, but nice there. They've got horse barns if you're into that kind of thing, an indoor arena right there. They've got outbuildings, which you could do a plethora of different things in. They've got the pastures, they've got improved fencing on it, and cross fencing if you wanted to do a rotational grazing type deal if you're running cattle. They've got 2 ponds on there, real nice fresh water. But they've got automatic waters, Ritchie automatic waters that are heated. Be pretty nice in the wintertime, guys. And a lot of hay ground there that'll put up a lot of hay. Just a beautiful place, like I said, near Verndale, Minnesota. If you're interested in that property, get a hold of Mitch Barthel at Tri-County Stockyards. Talk about your board to start on Tuesdays. Your board, October live cattle futures on Tuesday's session was down 155 at 235.60. December was down 147 at 238.75, but that's mild compared to how much it was up on Monday. Your back months on live cattle were down 122 to up $1.10. So it was your back months that were up there. September feeder cattle up 212, still growing there at 364.85, far surpassing your index levels by about $4 there, guys. And we're in the month when it has to meet up here within just a week or so. October feeder cattle up 77 cents at 362.12, and your back months on feeder cattle up 85 cents to up 382. Look at your grains. Chicago Board of Trade futures on grain. December corn, new crop there up 4.5 cents a bushel at 426 1/4. Beans, new crop November up 1 penny at 10.12 a bushel. And hard red winter wheat for December up big, up 9 1/4 cents a bushel at 511 1/2. Your fat cattle trade hasn't developed as of yet, and that's a good sign. Because even though our board's been up big and things are looking positive, your packers are still thinking that they want to get a better hold on this market because they've got the fats backed up a little bit, market ready in the northern plains, but they're way behind in the southern plains. The only trade we've seen on a direct basis so far negotiated was 100 head of pen of mixed steers and heifers in Iowa at 233. You really can't tell anything by that. But nothing going on in Nebraska, Kansas, or Texas. And of course, if something's going on in Colorado, we don't get to know about it due to confidentiality rules with the USDA's market reporting there. But we did have our market maker on Tuesday. Every Tuesday we get to find out what's going on. We get price discovery. We get market transparency through a brick and mortar sale barn there that sells fed cattle and enough of them to do you some good. Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. They had 1,750 head in overnight. They had 2,650 for their fed cattle auction there at Yankton. Conventional fed cattle sell from 233.5 to 239.50. That'd be 1.5 to 2.5 lower. The drug-free cattle that were all on hand all went back to feed, so they didn't get a test on that market. Your non-implanted cattle selling from 236 to 249, and that was kind of weak to $8 lower. All of a sudden they didn't come after those program cattle as much as they wanted, but Gary Marks collects this information, shares it with me so I can share it with you. He did notice that by the way the buyers were buying, it appears that the fed cattle that are market ready are short in the eastern corn belt also. So even though western Iowa and Nebraska and maybe even South Dakota there have a plethora of fed cattle and in market ready condition there, and we're really tight on them in Kansas and in Texas, well, it looks like the eastern corn belt is tight on market ready cattle also. Box beef cutout values are lower again on Tuesday. They were higher at noon, gave everybody a little bit of optimism, thinking it was going to get better, but then sold more later in the day, with choice cuts down 59 cents at 380.80 and selects down 219 at 359.90. Your slaughter just up through the first 2 days of the week, 231,000 estimated cattle slaughter. That's exactly the same as last week, 15,000 less than this point a year ago. I want to tell you, I am going to be at Napoleon Livestock on Thursday. They've got a big special coming up there in Napoleon, North Dakota. It's their 45th annual Customer Appreciation Day sale. They're going to have a free meal for everybody there. And it is George Bitz's birthday, 90th birthday. And he's the patriarch there of that operation. So I'm excited about going up there. I've never been to that sale barn before, but going to be up there on Thursday. So if you guys are handy around there somewhere, come on by. Let's talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Beef is the software that helps you with your feeding. It makes data recording easier, simplifies your cattle feeding, and instantly makes your operation appear much more professional with the kind of reports that you can put out just at the touch of your fingers there, guys. And remember, you always have access to your historical data with Performance Beef. So for more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They're working to protect your livelihood with all classes of agriculture insurance there, guys. Your real-time index late in the day on Tuesday after your sales had all concluded there, sitting at 361.39 based on an 800-pound cash auction steer. That was actually up 16 cents, and that RTI was up big on Monday, if you remember, so up a little more than that. It's right about in line with your CME cash feeder cattle index at 361.10. Got some big sales coming up here on Wednesday. Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota has got 4,500 for their feeder cattle auction here today on Wednesday. Get on to DVAuction.com and check that sale out. Also, Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska has got a big one. They've got 5,000 head. Be mostly yearlings. Got fall calves on there too, but check them out at DVAuction.com also. Talk about your big sales that happened on Tuesday. How about Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri? They had 1,900 head through the ring. Another 550 head on their in-house video. The feeders sold steady to $5 higher. Calves sold $4 to $8 higher, with spots as much as $12 higher. And your pee-wee calves, the little tight light ones, they're under 450 pounds, selling $10 to $20 higher, which is really not that much, but it sounds good. Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, they had a huge one again. 6,000 head of feeder cattle and calves on Tuesday there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. The Federal State Market Report, Savannah, didn't have that out yet when I put this report together, but my gosh, it's 5 to 20 higher just on your automated market report that just goes off your weighted averages, and that is amazing. You never see that. I mean, it had to have just been a smoker, and every single weight group was higher compared to the weighted average than last week. So that just goes to show it was a super good sale there. And Beaver was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard livestock equipment, stick out sale of the day. And look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and I left the changes on there. Look at the changes out to the right there, and you see how much higher it was just compared to the weighted average within that weight group. But it's very, very impressive, guys. 427 head of 4-weight steer calves, average 462 with a weighted average price of 470.54. There were 562 head of the 5-weight steers. They averaged 542 at 429.11. 713 head of 6-weight steers averaged 640 at $400.12 on the weighted average. 352 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 764 at 374.94. There were 603 head of 8-weight steers in Beaver. They averaged 861 at 358.41. Wow. 606 head of 9-weight steers averaged 946 at 353.84. As impressive as that was, we got heifers. How about 330 head of 4-weight heifer calves averaged 447 at 414.16. 591 head of the 5-weight heifers averaged 558 at 380.61. 386 head of the 6-weight heifers in Beaver averaged 646 at 363.74. And 553 head of 7-weight feeder steers in Beaver, Oklahoma averaged 775 at 344.13. Now, the most impressive individual quote that I saw come out of Beaver County Stockyards was a big string of big steers there, likely the Ratcliffe steers there. 144 steers weighed 917 and bring 364. Wow, that's an impressive quote there. I got other impressive individual quotes from all over the country there. How about Fairview, Oklahoma? Fairview Livestock Commission Company there, they sell 54 steers that weigh 996 or 1,000 pounds, and they bring 350. I thought that was awful good. How about Glacial Lakes Livestock in Watertown, South Dakota? They sold some pee-wee steers really high. 57 of them weighed 389 and sell for $569 a pound. Imperial Auction Market, Imperial, Nebraska, sold some high calves there. 51 steers weighed 584 at 459. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday in your Macrocin No BS top quote from the day come way out west in Turlock, California. Turlock Livestock Auction Yard there. 118 steers weighed 820 and bring 380. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.